Last time on the Eminence in Shadow, Rose was labeled a fugitive for stabbing her fiancé perv asshat. Elsewhere, Cid is preparing for his match disguised as Mundane Man. At the start of episode 16, we cut to Alexia and Beta discussing Rose's situation. Despite the Oriana Kingdom's request for independence, Alexia is determined to speak with Rose directly to gather as much information as possible. Meanwhile, Beta begins to gather his own intelligence, determined to find out what happened to Rose. In the meantime, Alexia decides to seek the advice of her sister, hoping she may have some insight into the matter. However, Beta is aware that Alexia's sister may also provide more information on perv asshat, which could potentially keep her occupied and prevent her from getting into any trouble. Meanwhile, Beta receives news that Rose has made her way through the sewers and into the underground ruins. This news only heightens their urgency to find her before the Oriana Kingdom does. On the other hand, Cid is grappling with his own troubles. As the Eminence of Shadow, he is faced with the dilemma of what to do next. During a break in the tournament fights, he is approached by Beatrix, who is searching for her sister's daughter. When Cid denies any knowledge of her whereabouts, Beatrix draws her sword and threatens to kill him. Cid is able to deflect the attack, but he is left shaken by the encounter. Beatrix apologizes for her actions, acknowledging that she had underestimated Cid's strength. Quentin, upon seeing Anne Rose, immediately assumes that she has come to watch Mundane Man's fight, just like the day before. Intrigued by her thoughts on his previous match, he approaches her and inquires about what she thinks of it. Anne Rose replies that she believes Mundane's opponent tripped and lost, but Quentin isn't so sure. Despite not being able to see anything himself, he is confident that Anne Rose can explain it. Anne Rose, however, explains that she wasn't able to see everything as the opponent's movements were too fast for her to follow. She did see Mundane's right hand moving, but the subsequent events were just too quick for her to keep up. Quentin then speculates that Mundane used some sort of artifact, but Anne Rose can't rule out the possibility that he didn't break any rules. The two are sure that the upcoming fight between Mundane and Golden Kinmeki will reveal the truth. Anne Rose informs Quentin that Goldo has never lost a fight and only forfeits against opponents who could potentially defeat him. He is known as the Unbeaten, but prefers to be called the Ever Victorious. As the fight between Mundane and Goldo begins, Quentin realizes that Anne Rose's observation means that either Goldo couldn't see Mundane's true strength or Mundane was cheating. The fight starts with Goldo rushing at Mundane, swinging his sword, but Mundane effortlessly cracks his neck and dodges the attack. Quentin is amazed by what he sees, but can't understand what happened, and Rose explains that Mundane managed to dodge the attack by cracking his neck. Quentin finds it hard to believe, but Anne Rose wonders if it's not just a coincidence. Goldo, feeling humiliated, decides to get serious and creates a golden dragon using his magical powers. But to everyone's surprise, Mundane simply sneezes and blows away both the dragon and Goldo, effectively defeating him. And Rose notes that Goldo was stronger than she expected, and if he fought more often against stronger knights, he could have become quite good. Quentin is left wondering what Mundane did, and Anne Rose explains that she thinks he sneezed, and in that moment, his sword also swung down, defeating Goldo. Quentin finds it hard to believe, but decides to leave and says that if Mundane continues to win, he will eventually face him and show him what he's made of. And Rose, inspired by Mundane's movements, starts cracking her neck and sneezing, wondering if she can move like him. Despite perv asshat's lack of concern for increased security measures, Iris firmly presents the security plan for the Bushin festival. Perv, however, brushes off the plan and boasts about his good appearance, which was exaggerated by the news. He speculates that Midgar's concern is due to the recent kidnapping of Alexia and reveals his intention to personally search for her, just as Iris did. Meanwhile, Mundane's sudden and impressive victory over Quentin has left many onlookers in disbelief and questioning the safety of betting on him in the future. Undeterred, Mundane advances to the main tournament, where he is set to face Anne Rose. As Mundane and Anne-Rose face off in the tunnel, Anne-Rose acknowledges Mundane's strength, but warns him that she has seen all of his moves. Mundane responds with a confident smile, removing one of his armor plates and revealing its immense weight. He explains that the armor was holding him back and that it's time for the real fight to begin. Anne-Rose, however, is not intimidated and reminds Mundane not to assume victory. She demonstrates her own strength by cracking her neck, causing Mundane to step back in surprise. With a hint of curiosity, Mundane moves past Anne-Rose, wondering what she had been trying to prove. Meanwhile, we cut to Rose running down a tunnel and fighting off her pursuers. Will Rose evade capture? Before we find out, take a moment to answer the question of the day. Is there any possibility that any of the characters know that Cid is disguised as Mundane Man? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out, and now, back to the video. As Cid contemplates his strategy for the arena, Skell suddenly bursts into his room, armed with a plan to strike it rich. He presents Cid with a tantalizing offer. A reward awaits whoever can turn in Rose or provide information on her whereabouts. Skell urges Cid to join forces with them and hunt down Rose, eager to cash in on the bounty. However, as Cid contemplates Skell's proposal, he spots his sister approaching and decides to keep his distance. With a quick escape through the window, Cid joins Skell on the streets, eager to pursue the promise of wealth. While strolling through the city, the sounds of a piano catch Cid's ear, and he can't help but admire the skilled player. Memories of his previous life flood back as he recalls how he was forced to learn the instrument. Though he would have preferred to focus on his training to become Eminence in Shadow, however, over time, Cid came to appreciate the beauty of piano playing. As he recognizes the melody, Cid begins to question if it belongs in this world. Driven by curiosity, he decides to seek out the source of the music, suspecting it might be another reincarnated soul like himself. To his surprise, he discovers that the pianist is none other than Epsilon, who has leveraged the knowledge Cid imparted to her to become a famous composer. After her performance, Cid approaches her and compliments her on playing Moonlight Sonata. Epsilon confides that it's her favorite piece from all the music he taught her. Cid realizes with a jolt that Epsilon has plagiarized all the music he shared with her and has reaped rewards and gained powerful connections as a result. When Cid inquires about Rose's whereabouts, Epsilon reveals that Beta is already on the case, and she has heard rumors that Rose is hiding in the tunnels beneath the royal capital. Cid thanks Epsilon and makes his exit, but as he glances back at the piano, a smile creeps onto his face. However, as Beta and Alexia delve deeper into the tunnels, they encounter a series of twists and turns. With each step, they are met with the growing realization that the cult's reach is far-reaching, and their hold on Oriana is stronger than anyone could have imagined. Beta, who has been working closely with Iris, mentions that they have uncovered some crucial information. Apparently, Perv Asshat has been communicating with the cult leaders and is acting as a mole within the kingdom. This discovery raises serious questions about the loyalty of the king's own guard and forces Alexia to rethink her previous assumptions. While they navigate the labyrinthine tunnels, Alexia shares her own insights about Perv's motives. She believes that his ultimate goal is to destabilize the kingdom and seize power for himself. With the Bushin festival fast approaching, time is of the essence, and they must act quickly. As Rose follows the sound of the Moonlight Sonata, she is captivated by its beauty. Guided by the music, she soon finds the source, Shadow playing the piano with masterful skill. Despite having heard the sonata countless times, she is in awe of this performance. When Shadow finishes, he turns to her, asking what it is she hopes to achieve. Rose replies that she wants to protect those she loves, but feels powerless to do so. Shadow wonders if she is ready to give up, but Rose is determined. She has things she wants to do, people she wants to protect. In response, Shadow offers her his power, telling her that true strength lies not in one's abilities, but in one's way of being. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Rose accepts Shadow's gift and, with his help, defeats the members of the cult to confront her. Alexia and Beta, drawn by the surge of magic, come upon Rose, who proudly declares that she has obtained new power and is now following her own path. Despite Alexia's curiosity, Rose refuses to divulge any information, not wanting to put her in danger. But Alexia is relentless and draws her sword, intent on making Rose talk. The two engage in battle, but Rose proves to be the stronger of the two. She leaves Alexia in Beta's care, noting that they may have different paths, but they all share a common goal. Finally, as the day comes to a close, Cid returns home, only to be surprised to find his sister still waiting for him. As Claire strangles Cid, she vents out her frustration towards his repeated broken promises. Despite her anger, she hands him a ticket to the Bushin Festival, telling him to be there and watch her perform as she is replacing Princess Rose. Meanwhile, Cid's journey to the festival begins. As he reaches the festival, he discovers that the ticket his sister gave him isn't an ordinary one, but a hyper VIP seating. Upon reaching his seat, he is surprised to see Iris Midgar and assumes he got it wrong. But to his surprise, Iris recognizes him as Claire's brother and explains that he is in the correct seat. She also apologizes for the Zenon Griffey incident, which draws attention from the students. Cid starts to worry as he is just a background character and not used to the spotlight. Some students approach Iris and ask if she has her eye on any competitor. Iris explains that she is interested in Anne Rose, but still intends to win the tournament. Cid wonders if there is someone else who caught her eye, but the students dismiss the idea, stating that Mundane Man is just fast and lucky, with no real skill. Cid is pleased with the reputation he cultivated for Mundane. However, Iris explains that there is one more person who has caught her eye, an elf who was also the first Bushin Festival champion. Although she won't be competing, the mere mention of her name draws attention from the students. Cid recalls Beatrix and realizes he knew she was strong, but never knew she was famous. The students reveal that Beatrix has not shown her face in public for over a decade. Cid then excuses himself and leaves, feeling the presence of someone strong. Despite this, he acts surprised when Beatrix shows up after him. She wonders if he was ignoring her, but he denies it, insisting that he did not run into an elf that looks like her. Beatrix, who had brought too many burgers, offers one to Cid, who in turn gives one of his burgers to her as a token of gratitude. Meanwhile, Perv Asshat takes Cid's seat and starts a conversation with Iris. He reveals that his king will be attending the festival tomorrow and inquires about Iris's father, Klaus Midgar. Iris informs him that her father will also be watching from tomorrow. Perv then sees Anne Rose and expresses his interest in inviting her to work for his kingdom, recognizing her as a fencer of great caliber. When asked about Anne Rose's opponent, Mundane Man, Iris states that she sees him for the first time and does not find him very strong, but there is an unnerving uncertainty in his eyes that makes her unsure of Anne Rose's win. The fight between Anne Rose and Mundane begins, with Anne Rose attacking immediately. However, Mundane parries or dodges her attacks with ease. She slashes him, thinking she has found a way to defeat him, but Mundane appears behind her and tells her it was just an afterimage. Mundane then overpowers her, causing her to realize that she must try to counterattack when he attacks. However, as she waits for him to attack, she realizes that Mundane was still matching his attack to hers, not the opposite. In the end, Mundane slashes and defeats Anne Rose. Perv asserts that Iris was indeed correct. In response, Iris is taken aback by the fact that someone as formidable as Mundane had gone unnoticed for so long. Perv then announces that the next round would be Iris versus Mundane and ponders if she is ready to face the challenge. Iris confidently declares that although she may not be able to match Mundane's dazzling swordplay, it is not beauty that determines the winner. If Mundane's technique is all he has to offer, then she is not intimidated. Nevertheless, she is aware that there is a strong possibility that Mundane has some hidden tricks up his sleeve, which is why he had been disguising his stance and technique throughout the tournament. Later, as Perv departs, he instructs his man to investigate Mundane, stating that it could be problematic if he is backed by the Lawless City. His man questions if Mundane is a part of the Shadow Garden, but Perv dismisses the idea, explaining that he is a man and he also doubts that the Shadow Garden would have a reason to cause a disturbance during the Bushin Festival. Meanwhile, Anne Rose thanks Mundane for the lesson after losing to him, and explains that she left her home to become stronger. She expresses her curiosity about how Mundane became so powerful, to which he replies that he had abandoned everything in his quest for strength. Cid realizes that he had accomplished 70% of his plan at the Bushin Festival. He starts to contemplate his next move, pondering whether he should simply disappear after defeating Iris or take the evil route and act like an assassin from a shadowy organization. Upon returning home, Cid is surprised to find Claire waiting for him, who inquires about his enjoyment of her match. Cid then realizes that he's in some deep trouble. Oh boy, will Cid survive the wrath of his sister? Will Cid wipe the floor with Iris in the next round? Find out in our next recap of the Eminence in Shadow.